The walk-in freezer door hung slightly ajar at 11 p.m., and Vincent Romano noticed because Janelle Davis never left anything half-done. Not a table uncleared, not a wine bottle unsealed, and certainly not the cold storage exposed to kitchen heat after a Saturday night rush. 3 weeks. That's how long she'd worked at Rosso Bianco. That's how long he'd been watching her navigate his world with a quiet dignity that didn't belong in a place built on blood money and laundered cash. She moved between tables like she was conducting a symphony, precise, graceful, deliberate. The way she never flinched when he walked past. Unlike the others who suddenly found their shoes fascinating. The warmth in her laugh when she teased Carlo about his burnt focaccia. The spine-straight posture that said she'd survived harder things than serving entitled politicians their overpriced Barolo. Something was wrong. Romano crossed the kitchen, Ferragamo shoes silent against tile, past the dishwashers, shutting down for the night. Muted jazz still filtered through speakers, mixing with the hum of industrial refrigeration and the rhythm of his own pulse shifting from routine to alert. He pushed the heavy steel door wider. Janelle Davis sat collapsed between wine crates and shelves of prosciutto, hyperventilating. Phone clutched in shaking hands that couldn't seem to hold it steady. The screen's glow illuminated tear tracks cutting through her makeup, her chest heaving with sobs she was trying desperately to silence. Before we continue this story and see what happens next, please like this video and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring these powerful stories to life. The headline on her phone blazed in the dim cold. Officer involved shooting ruled justified. Romano's world tilted. Not toward empathy, he'd carved that out of himself years ago, but toward something territorial and immediate. Someone had hurt his waitress. Someone had brought violence into his space and shattered the woman who'd started taking up too much room in his peripheral vision. Janelle. His voice came out softer than he'd intended, but she still jumped like he'd fired a gun. Her head snapped up, eyes wide and red, and utterly devastated. She tried to stand, to apologize, to perform the role of composed employee. Her legs wouldn't cooperate. Romano crouched beside her, all 6'2" of controlled power folding down to her level, close enough to see her pupils blown with shock, close enough to smell the fear sweat beneath her perfume. Talk to me. I'm sorry, Mr. Romano. I just needed a minute. I'll get back to what happened. The question broke something. She folded in on herself, phone dropping to the floor between them, screen still glowing with that damning headline. Words came out in gasping, fractured pieces. Marcus. Her son, 17 years old. Traffic stop. Reaching suspiciously. 3 bullets. ICU. Bullet lodged near his spine. Romano listened to every word while his pulse turned cold and calculated. Tragedy happened in this city every night. This wasn't his problem. This was bad for business, bad for appearances, bad for maintaining the careful distance between Vincent Romano, the restaurateur, and Vincent Romano, who ran half the organized crime in the district. Then she said the name. Officer Dylan Reeves. The cold in Romano's chest spread outward like ice water hitting his veins. Dylan Reeves. Badge number 4,719. On Romano's payroll for 3 years. $5,000 a month for police raid schedules, case file access, and looking the other way when Romano's trucks moved through certain neighborhoods. $180,000 in protection money. Romano had bought this cop's immunity. His money had kept Reeves untouchable within the department. His corruption had enabled whatever the hell happened to this woman's child. They said it was justified. Janelle whispered, voice breaking. The department investigated. Found nothing wrong. The DA declined to prosecute. Witnesses changed their stories after officers visited them. At midnight, she looked up at him with eyes that had stopped expecting justice. He was reaching for his registration. Like they told him to. He didn't have anything. He didn't do anything. Romano's internal war lasted exactly 3 seconds. Business or conscience, empire or honor, the smart move or the right move. He'd built his world on violence and corruption. He'd perfected the art of looking away. But watching Janelle shatter over his institutional murder, funded by his dirty money, flipped something inside him he hadn't known still existed. He stood, extending a hand. Go home, be with your son. You're still on payroll. She took his hand because she had no choice. Let him pull her to her feet, stared at him with confusion cutting through grief. Mr. Romano, I can't just... You can. You, will. His voice dropped to the tone that made senators nervous. Take care of your boy. Let me take care of everything else. He watched her leave through the kitchen. Shoulders curved inward, moving like someone who'd forgotten what safety felt like. Watched her collect her coat and slip out the back entrance into a city that had failed her in every way that mattered. Romano stood alone in the cooling kitchen, restaurant closing down around him, staff filtering out, his empire humming along like it always did. Efficient, profitable, built on the exact kind of corruption that put 3 bullets in a 17-year-old kid. He pulled out his phone. One call. That's all it took to set his world in motion. Sal, I need everything on the Marcus Davis shooting. Police reports, witness statements, body cam footage. I need to know how deep Reeves is buried in the department. Silence on the other end. Then, boss, that's the kid from tonight's news. The justified shooting. Why do we care? Romano stared through the window at his empty dining room. All that polished marble and crystal, monuments to power built on blood and payoffs. Beautiful lies in a city that ran on uglier truths. Because the cop who shot him? Romano's voice went quiet. Deadly. I pay him $5,000 a month, which means I've been funding whatever the hell this is. So now it's my problem to fix. He ended the call and stood in the darkness, feeling the weight of complicity settle over him like a shroud. I've built an empire on corruption. But watching her break over my corruption? That's a different kind of damnation. Outside, the city glittered with all its monuments to justice. Inside, Vincent Romano made a decision that would burn his entire world down, and for the first time in 20 years, he didn't care about the cost. 3 a.m. found Vincent Romano in his office above Rosso Bianco. City lights bleeding through floor-to-ceiling windows, files spreading across his desk like evidence of original sin Sal had delivered. Police report. Subject made furtive movements toward waistband. Officer feared for his life. Discharge of weapon justified per department protocol. Clean, sterile, rehearsed. Witness statements, original versions pulled from Sal's contact and records. The kid had his hands up. He was complying. Officer shot him anyway. Then the revised versions, submitted 48 hours later after midnight visits from men in uniform. Didn't see clearly. Can't recall exact sequence. Officer appeared threatened. Body cam footage, marked corrupted in the system. Conveniently unsalvageable. Romano pulled his personal ledger. Found the page he knew would be there. Dylan Reeves. Badge 4,719. $5,000 divided by month times 36 months equals $180,000. $180,000 in protection money, in immunity, in permission to operate above the law while Romano's trucks rolled through the city unmolested. I bought his freedom to do this. The thought sat in his chest, like swallowed glass. Sal entered without knocking, carrying a second folder. Thicker. Boss, you're not gonna like this. Romano already knew he wouldn't. Show me. Sal spread files across the desk. 12 cases, 12 families, all Black and Latino. All victims of Dylan Reeves. Tyrell, Washington, 14. Traffic stop. Matched suspect description. Broken ribs and concussion. Ruled resisting arrest. Maria Gutierrez, 22. Welfare check. Became combative. Dislocated shoulder. Charges dropped after she refused to testify. Isaiah Brooks, 19. Routine stop. Furtive movements. Shot in the leg. Weapon never recovered. Justified use of force. On and on. Different faces. Same story. Same signature on every report. Same outcome. Case closed. Officer cleared. System protected itself. Romano's hands flattened on the desk. How many know about this? In the department? Enough. Reeves has a captain running interference. Union reps burying complaints. It's not one bad cop, boss. It's a network. A protection racket. Inside the police. The kind of operation Romano would admire if it wasn't pointed at kids who couldn't fight back. Get the car, Romano said quietly. Where we going? Hospital. Marcus Davis lay motionless in ICU bed 3, tubes and monitors forming a mechanical halo. 17 years old, football scholarship to Maryland, according to the newspaper clipping taped to the wall. Dreams shot to pieces during a traffic stop for a broken taillight. Janelle slept in the chair beside him, hand clutching her son's, head tilted at an angle that would leave her neck screaming. Still in her work clothes, like she'd come straight here and never left. Romano stood in the doorway, watching, not entering, not contaminating this grief with his presence. I've killed men for insulting me. I've destroyed families over territory disputes, but I've never funded someone else's murders and called it business. The machines beeped. Regular, persistent. Proof Marcus was alive. Barely. Romano pulled out his phone. Made 3 calls. First. Ghost, it's Romano. I need deleted body cam footage recovered. Marcus Davis shooting, 6 days ago. Price is no object. Pause. 80,000 if you can deliver in 48 hours. Second, Tommy, pull every payment we've made to cops for 5 years. Every name, every badge number, every dollar amount. Spreadsheet format. I want the whole network mapped. Third, Sal, find me a civil rights attorney. Someone who can't be bought, can't be threatened, can't be scared off. Someone with nothing to lose and everything to prove. Sal's voice came back uncertain. Boss, what are we doing here? Romano watched Janelle sleep beside her broken son. Watched the machines breathe for a kid who'd done everything right and gotten shot anyway. If the system's this broken, Romano said, voice flat and final, I'm part of the disease. He ended the call. Time to become the cure, even if it killed him. Ghost worked out of a warehouse in Anacostia that didn't officially exist, surrounded by server towers and enough encrypted hardware to make the NSA nervous. Romano met him at 2 a.m., Sal standing watch outside, 80,000 in cash filling a Toomey briefcase. Body cam footage from a police shooting, Romano said, sliding the briefcase across the table. 6 days old, marked corrupted in the system. Ghost, a 26-year-old who looked like he'd never seen sunlight, didn't touch the money. Nothing's ever really deleted, just hidden. You understand what you're asking me to do is a felony? I understand what I'm paying you to make it worth your while. Ghost opened the briefcase, counted nothing, closed it. 48 hours, 46 hours later, Romano sat alone in his office with the lights off and an encrypted drive glowing in his laptop. He clicked play. Dashboard camera. Marcus Davis's Honda Civic pulled over on a quiet street. 11 p.m. Broken taillight. Routine stop. Body cam footage. Reeves. Approaching. Hand on weapon. Marcus's hands immediately visible on the steering wheel. 10 and 2 position. Perfect compliance. License and registration. Yes, sir. My registration's in the glove compartment. May I reach for it? Go ahead. Slow. Marcus moved with deliberate, visible care. Opened the glove compartment. Reached inside. 3 shots. Center mass. Marcus slumped. Blood spreading across his shirt. Gasping. Hands empty. Registration papers scattered across the passenger seat. What came next made Romano's stomach turn. Reeves looked around, checked his surroundings, reached into his own pocket and pulled out a folding knife, dropped it near Marcus's hand, adjusted the angle, keyed his radio. Shots fired, subject armed with a weapon, requesting backup and medical. Romano watched the rest in silence. Backup arriving. Marcus loaded into an ambulance, still bleeding. Reeves giving his statement, pointing to the planted knife, playing the rattled officer who'd feared for his life. All of it captured in 4K clarity. Romano closed the laptop, walked to his private bathroom, vomited. Not because of the violence he'd seen worse, done worse. Because he'd paid for this. His money had kept Reeves safe enough to perfect this routine, to practice this performance, to know he could shoot an unarmed kid and the system would call it justified. This is what I bought. He rinsed his mouth, stared at his reflection, saw a man who'd spent 20 years pretending the bodies he climbed over didn't count because he hadn't pulled the trigger himself. He pulled out his phone. Sal, tell me you found an attorney. Maya Thornton, 15 years in civil rights, won't take mob money, won't back down from anyone. She's incorruptible, boss. Which means she won't meet with you. Make it happen anyway. Maya Thornton agreed to meet only because Romano's intermediary swore it wasn't about representation, it was about evidence. She chose the location. A public park, midday, witnesses everywhere. She sat across from him at a picnic table looking exactly like what she was, a woman who'd spent 15 years fighting systemic corruption and learning not to trust anyone, especially not men in $1,000 suits. You have 5 minutes, she said. Then I'm leaving and reporting this conversation to every agency that might care. Romano slid an encrypted tablet across the table. I have evidence of a police shooting, the real footage, showing what actually happened. Why bring it to me? Because you can't be bought, can't be threatened, and you give a damn about people who don't usually get justice. Maya's expression stayed skeptical. What do you want in return? Justice for Janelle Davis. And maybe, Romano paused, a different kind of legacy. I don't work with criminals. I'm not asking you to work with me. I'm asking you to use what I give you. He gestured to the tablet. Watch it, then decide. Maya hesitated, picked up the tablet, hit play. Romano watched her face as she watched Marcus die. Watched her expression shift from professional skepticism to horror to fury. Watched her see the knife planted, the radio call fabricated, the system protecting itself. When it ended, she sat in silence for a long moment. "This is admissible," she finally said, voice shaking. "With this footage plus pattern evidence, I can build a federal case. Civil rights violations, evidence tampering, conspiracy." She looked up. "How did you get this?" "Better you don't know. How much will this cost me?" "Nothing. I'll fund the case. Anonymous donor. You get full credit, full control. I stay out of it." Maya studied him like he was a puzzle with missing pieces. Why? Romano could have lied, could have spun something noble. Instead, he told the truth. "Because I've been paying Officer Reeves $5,000 a month for 3 years. My money helped keep him protected. So yeah, this is on me, and I'm going to fix it." The silence stretched heavy between them. "I need more than footage," Maya said finally. "I need the pattern. Other victims. Financial records showing the protection network." Romano pulled a folder from his briefcase. 12 other families, all targeted by Reeves. All cases closed, all ruled justified. He pulled out a second folder. Financial records. Reeves, his captain, 2 union reps. Payoffs from 4 different criminal organizations, including mine. It's not just one cop, it's a protection racket inside the department. Maya opened the folders, started reading. Her hands trembled slightly. This is bigger than I thought. "It's bigger than both of us," Romano said. "But with what I'm giving you, you can burn the whole thing down. You contact the families, build testimony, prepare the media strategy. I'll fund everything. Legal fees, expert witnesses, whatever you need." Maya looked at him for a long moment. "If this goes public, they'll come after you too. You understand that? I'm counting on it." She closed the folders, made her decision. "I'll do it. But the moment you try to control this case or use it for your own benefit, I walk and I take everything to the FBI. Clear? Clear." Maya stood, gathering the evidence. Justice for Janelle, and every other mother who's lost someone to this. That's the idea. She walked away without looking back, folders tucked under her arm, already on her phone coordinating her next moves. Romano sat alone at the picnic table, watching her disappear into the crowd. No going back now. That evening, Romano stood on Janelle's doorstep in Northeast DC, feeling more nervous than he'd felt facing down rival syndicates. She opened the door looking exhausted, surprised, guarded. "Mr. Romano." "What are you—" "I'm going to help," he said. "Not because I'm good, I'm not. But because what happened to Marcus is on me too." Janelle's face clouded with confusion. "I don't understand." Romano took a breath. "I paid Reeves $5,000 a parata, month for 3 years. My money helped keep him protected within the department. So what he did to your son, I'm complicit." The silence that followed felt like drowning. Janelle stared at him, processing, understanding dawning in real time. Your money made him untouchable." "Yes." He watched her face cycle through emotions, shock, betrayal, rage, grief compounding on itself. Expected her to slam the door, to scream, to call the police, ironic as that would be. Instead, her voice came out quiet, deadly. "Then fix it. I'm trying." "No." She stepped closer. "Not for me. For every other mother. For every family that's coming after mine. You fix this so it can't happen again. You burn that whole system down. You understand me?" Romano met her eyes, saw the steel there. The determination that came from having nothing left to lose. "Yes, ma'am." Janelle held his gaze a moment longer, then closed the door without another word. Romano walked back to his car, feeling the weight of that command settle over him like a contract signed in blood. Burn it down, all of it. Reeves was waiting at Rosso Bianco's bar when Romano returned. Monthly pickup, $5,000 in cash in an envelope under the bar, same as always. He sat there cocky and entitled, uniform pressed, gun visible on his hip, drinking Romano's top-shelf bourbon like he owned the place. "Romano," Reeves nodded, smiled. "Heard about your waitress? Kid got himself shot. Real shame." Romano's rage crystallized into something cold and sharp. He smiled back, poured himself a drink, slid the envelope across the bar. "Yeah, real shame." Reeves pocketed the money without counting it. "Kid should have kept his hands visible. Rookie mistake. I'm sure." Romano sipped his bourbon, Tasted like poison. How's the department handling it? Clean shoot. Already cleared. Media's moved on. Reeves shrugged. These things happen. These things happen. Romano watched him drink, watched him laugh at his own joke about target practice, watched him exist in the world without conscience or consequence. Enjoy your freedom while it lasts. Same time next month? Reeves asked, standing. Absolutely, Romano said. Wouldn't miss it. Reeves left through the front door, walking out into the night with a cop's swagger and a criminal's immunity. Romano stood alone at his bar, gripping his glass hard enough to crack. I've watched men die and felt nothing. Watched empires crumble without blinking. But watching him walk free might be the first time I've felt genuine hate. He pulled out his phone, texted Maya, "Ready when you are." Her response came 30 seconds later. 5 news outlets lined up, dropping in 72 hours. Brace yourself. Romano set down his glass, looked around his restaurant, his empire, his legitimate face, his beautiful lie. In 72 hours, it would all burn. He'd never looked forward to anything more. 5 a.m. The city woke to devastation. 5 news outlets simultaneously released the same story. Recovered body cam footage showing Officer Dylan Reeves shooting Marcus Davis, then planting a knife. Financial records proving a protection racket Reeves, Captain Morris, 2 union reps taking payoffs from 4 criminal organizations, 12 victim families, pattern analysis showing systematic racist targeting. The headline blazed across every screen. Cop on the take. Brutal pattern of violence protected by corruption. By 6 a.m., the footage had 8 million views. By noon, the city was burning. Reeves and Captain Morris met in a parking garage, both men panicking. Where the hell did this come from? Morris demanded. Romano. Reeves's voice shook with rage. Has to be. He's the only one with access to those financial records. Then we neutralize him, frame him, discredit him before he can testify. They planned it in whispers. Plant drugs in Rosso Bianco, arrest Romano publicly, destroy his credibility, make him look like a desperate criminal trying to save himself. What they didn't know? Romano had been recording every word through Sal's phone, left strategically in Morris's squad car during a routine maintenance check. The raid came 3 nights later. Reeves and 3 officers stormed through Rosso Bianco's front entrance with a warrant, cameras flashing outside. News crews conveniently tipped off to the major drug bust. They found exactly what they'd planted 2 hours earlier. 5 kilos of cocaine in the dry storage. Vincent Romano, you're under arrest for check your math, officer. Romano stood calm behind the bar, his attorney already present. You're going to want to reconsider. Reeves smiled. Evidence doesn't lie. No, it doesn't. Romano pulled out his phone. Which is why I have cameras everywhere. Installed 2 weeks ago. 4K footage. Cloud backup. The smile died on Reeves's face. Romano's attorney stepped forward. My client has footage showing Officer Reeves and 3 other officers planting evidence with gloved hands. Captain Morris directing placement. That footage is currently uploading to 3 news stations and the FBI field office. You're bluffing, Morris said. Romano played the footage on the bar's TV. They all watched Reeves breaking into the restaurant, planting cocaine, Morris on radio coordinating timing. You should have stayed bought, Romano said quietly. The second media wave hit like a tsunami. Footage of the frame-up went viral. Public fury reached critical mass. Maya Thornton and Janelle held a press conference calling for protests and announcing federal lawsuits. The march happened 72 hours later. 20,000 people flooded the streets from City Hall to the precinct. Largest protest in city history. Janelle and 12 families led, faces broadcast on every national network. Romano watched from the crowd's edge, anonymous in jeans and a baseball cap, seeing his money used for something other than violence for the first time in 20 years. That same day, Marcus's video deposition released. Marcus, from his hospital bed, describing the terror of complying perfectly and still being shot. His hands visible, following instructions, the gunshots, the pain, the knowledge that he'd done everything right and it hadn't mattered. 18 million views in 48 hours. The city had been sleeping. Now it was burning, and Romano had struck the match. City council chambers packed beyond capacity, broadcast live on every network. 12 families stood together at the front. Janelle Davis at the center, spine straight, eyes forward. Maya Thornton approached the podium carrying the weight of 15 years fighting a system designed to protect itself. Today, I present evidence of systematic corruption, she said. Evidence of a protection racket operating within our police department. Evidence of racist violence enabled by institutional cover-up. The recovered body cam footage played on massive screens. The chamber went silent. Council members' faces shifted from political neutrality to genuine horror. Audible gasps as Reeves planted the knife. Marcus bleeding. The radio call fabricating justification. Some people covered their mouths, others wept openly. The mayor, facing recall threats and federal scrutiny, stood, face pale. Effective immediately, Officer Dylan Reeves is suspended without pay. Captain Morris is forced to resign. I'm requesting an FBI civil rights investigation into the entire department. The police union, in an unprecedented move, issued a statement condemning Reeves and any officer who betrays the badge. The FBI moved at dawn. Reeves arrested at his home. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Evidence tampering. Conspiracy. Racketeering. Captain Morris arrested simultaneously. 2 union reps taken into custody within the hour. The perp walk broadcast on every channel. Reeves in handcuffs, head down. The same man who'd walked through Romano's restaurant, cocky and untouchable, now facing 20 years. Federal prison. Media that had protected him now dissected every case he'd ever touched. Romano made his final move that afternoon. He walked into the FBI field office voluntarily, carrying boxes of records, every payoff, every bribe, every corrupt official on his payroll for 15 years. If the system's this broken, he told Special Agent Chen, I'm part of the disease. So here's the cure. Every name, every dollar, everything. Chen studied him. You understand you're confessing to multiple felonies? I understand. I'm done being part of the problem. The FBI offered immunity in exchange for testimony and full cooperation. Romano accepted without hesitation. I'll burn it all down. The cost came swift and total. Romano's empire dismantled by his own hand. Associates arrested. Operations shut down. Legitimate businesses seized for investigation. Sal found him in the now empty restaurant. Boss, you know what you've done? For the first time in my life. Late that night, Romano sat alone, surrounded by news coverage, conviction forecasts, policy debates. Janelle interviewed as the face of reform. His phone rang. Janelle's name on the screen. Marcus wants to meet you. Romano's throat tightened. I'm not sure that's a good idea. He deserves to know who helped save his life. Pause. And you deserve to see what you saved. Romano closed his eyes. When? Tomorrow, 2 p.m. She hung up. Romano sat in darkness, holding his phone, feeling the weight of redemption's price. Tomorrow, he'd face the kid he'd helped put in a wheelchair. Tomorrow, he'd see if conscience could ever balance the scales. Marcus Davis's hospital room smelled like antiseptic and determination. Physical therapy equipment lined one wall. Marcus sat in a wheelchair, Janelle beside him, both watching Romano enter like he was walking into judgment. Romano stopped 3 feet from the chair, no closer. He didn't deserve closer. I paid him. The words came raw. $5,000 a month for 3 years. My money kept him safe. I'm the reason you're in that chair. The silence felt unbearable. Marcus studied him, this man who'd funded his destruction and then dismantled an empire to make it right. His voice came quiet, measured, older than 17. You also stopped him. That counts for something. Romano's throat tightened. Does it? Ask the next kid who doesn't get shot. Janelle pulled a folder from her bag. 17 more families. Cases buried across 3 counties. She held it out. You want redemption? Her eyes held his. Earn it. Romano took the folder. Yes, ma'am. 6 months later, Marcus testified before Congress on police reform from his wheelchair, voice steady, story devastating. National broadcast. 20 million viewers. Reeves convicted on all counts. 20 years federal prison. Captain Morris and 2 union reps, 12 to 15 years each. Romano's transformation completed in shadows and surveillance. His criminal network repurposed into a police accountability operation using the same skills that built an empire to fund legal cases, gather evidence, protect victims. Operating under FBI oversight and immunity, the Marcus Davis Foundation for Police Accountability and Victim Support opened in a renovated community center, fully funded by Romano's early retirement. Janelle became its face national advocate, congressional testimony, policy reform. The city named the community center after Marcus. Police department placed under federal consent decree. 47 cases involving Reeves and his crew reopened. Romano stood at the back of the dedication ceremony, anonymous in the crowd, watching Marcus give a speech, standing with crutches, painful, determined, alive. Janelle found him after. "You'll never wash all the blood off your hands," she said. "I know. But maybe you can stop adding to it." Romano looked at the folder under his arm. 17 more families waiting for justice. Maybe that's enough. Janelle's small nod carried the weight of forgiveness. Not complete, never complete, but real. Romano walked city streets that night, folder tucked under his arm, disappearing into the darkness. "I broke the law my whole life. Breaking the blue wall? That might be the only honest thing I've ever done. No longer a kingpin. Something stranger. A criminal with a conscience."